All right, so let's get these unloaded. We'll go from there. Okay, one more story time. Years ago, we lived down in Texas. You don't mind if I smoke a cigar, do you? A little bitty one. Hey buddy, hey Ranger. Years ago, we lived down in Texas. We had 10 acres down there, and it was not fenced in the front yard. The front yard area, we had about two plus acres, I guess it was. And so the front of the property was not fenced in. Over time, we started to see that as an issue with our neighbors who were really bad with their animals and like would let their guinea fowl and their I guess is Great Pyrenees roam on our property, and their dog would pick fights with our dog at our backyard, and I had to motivate them to build their own damn fence by telling them I'd turn that thing into a coyote and shoot it, or treat it as a coyote and shoot it if I had to. And you know, the guinea fowl and the other things were a problem too. You know, we grew up late for sleep in a lot of times, so not always, but a lot of times. So, you know, getting woke up by a guinea fowl at 7 o'clock in the morning when you go to bed at 3 or 4, that'll piss you off. So, especially since they were right outside our bedroom window. Anyway, so we had this 10-acre property that we really wanted to fence in. The house was pushed back 2 acres or so off the road. And at the time, we had no mechanical advantage. I didn't really have a trailer or any kind of setup like this at that point. I didn't have skid steer or even a tractor or anything to really move stuff around. Not even a four-wheeler with something to tow it. So, I mean, we had a golf cart of all things. And we used it all the time on the property, but we didn't have anything set up that I could do this kind of work with. So what I did, this would have been about 2018, I ended up putting in most of the fence myself. And in the area we were, there was it used to be a cotton farm. And there was black clay 6 inches down from the topsoil, so nothing would grow except goldenrod and sage grass and, you know, all the garbage crap you don't want. Johnson grass, all that stuff would kind of grow deep back in the back in an area that was like a 100-year floodplain. So honestly, for the last 8 months we were there, we couldn't even use the back 4 acres because it was all underwater. That's a different story. So anyway, we decided to build this fence. The problem was I had no mechanical advantage, but I was strong. I was really strong. I mean, you just saw me pretty much mostly lift that one of those spools up. Well, imagine me picking one of those things up and walking it across 2 acres. That's what I used to do. There's a private story behind that. I don't really want to talk about it, but I had a lot of strength. What it boils down to is I had a lot of strength, and I was able to do that kind of thing, and so I just did it. I didn't think much about it. I didn't think about the consequences of what was going to happen to me physically or the tear down on my body. I just the work's got to get done. I've got the physical strength to do it. Nobody's coming to help me. I'm just going to do it. And so bought all the poles, bought all the materials, bought all the fencing, and just started in on it. I had a couple friends, 2 buddies of mine, Matt and Robert, and 2 different days they showed up to help me finish the fence after it was 90% done. And then my neighbor to the side, he kind of helped me as well, my buddy John. We didn't have a property line between the 2 of us, but we wanted one because he wanted to run cows and I wanted to keep his damn cows off my property. Sorry, stories for days. What can I say? I'm Southern. So anyway, I started building this fence, and he's got a tractor, but can't really use it. We're talking about 2018 and like monsoon season for some weird reason down in Texas, in North Texas, and his skid steer, he's got an auger bit for it, but it's just bouncing off the clay 6 inches down. And we got to go 3 feet in order to get these poles set correctly, right? So I go and I get the hand auger and I just start digging, hole at a time, in muddy black clay. It's just wrecking me to death, but I'm getting it done. And it took me 5 weeks, I think. It was either 3 or 5 weeks. I'm going to be conservative and say it took longer, but I think it may have been 3. We'll say 5 to get it all done. But anyway, I was carrying these big old rolls of Red Brand from one up by the house where they dumped the load over to the far corner, and then all along the perimeter, and then where it was appropriate I'd put it down and I'd roll it. But these things I'm built for standing up and for bursting. I'm not built for bending over and like pushing a log on the ground. So it was easier for me to carry these things across the 2-acre field than try to push them down it or push them across it. I guess technically that was uphill too, so it wouldn't even really been feasible to do it that way. But after that experience, I destroyed the tendons in my hands. I've got a permanent cyst or mass right here on the tendon of this pinky. So, I brute force things a lot in younger days, and I never really thought about the consequences as I got older. I'm not that old. I'm really barely in the middle of my life, in my 40s, and still have a ton of energy and capability in me. I've still got a lot of strength, but I'm not nearly as strong as I used to be because I made poor decisions like that and relied purely on my strength instead of balancing it out with like mechanical advantage or a buddy, because nobody will show up, all those kinds of things. So learn from my mistakes. Realized that it took me 3 years to recover my hands, the ability to properly use my hands and to regain all of my digit skills or motor skills in my fingers. And I've still got numbness and tingling here, and I still can't feel my fingertip here or the middle finger on the right hand. So, be smart. Just because you can doesn't mean it's always the right thing to do it, by yourself. Get help where you possibly can. Leverage mechanical advantage, and for you younger guys that are strong and just as capable as I was, just realize if you do it all by yourself, you're going to pay for it in the end. You're going to pay for it regardless, but you'll pay for it a lot sooner if you don't take advantage of every opportunity that you can while you're trying to do heavy work like this. Manual labor, getting assistance for that's not cheating. That's being smart. So don't ever think about it as cheating. You're not cheating yourself out of a workout or hard work or work ethic or anything like that. You're just being smart about it. So don't ever let anybody tell you differently. All right, that's it. I'm going to wrap up this video for today, and when the time comes, and probably tomorrow, Labor Day, I'm going to be out there staking out corners and getting some of the pre-work done with the T-posts that we've got. And see what we can pull off tomorrow. See how far we can get. I've still got to build the shelter. I've still got to get gates. I've still got to get some corner things. I'm not going to go with poles. I'm going to go with T-posts and use a wedge lock. It's a simpler solution, and this is our first time running sheep. So if we decide this isn't the right thing, we'll tear it out and we'll move it. Move the whole thing. I'll move 1,000 feet of this wire if I have to. All right, that's it. I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday. Take a day of rest if you can. God bless you. I love you and I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.